Official Maroon Business, in association with ICR Music and Kevin Maroon, presents
You're in the Matrix. With the Matrix Man.
From the nadir to the zenith, I rise from the fire like the phoenix. As the waterfall between Mars and Venus, they calling me the hamster with the wheel is. 8 spokes, 2 posts, that's the helix. The grass on this side is the greenest. Born a genius, conceived in the fetus. Cleanliness is godliness, and niggas, I'm the cleanest. And God we trust, but they ain't talking about Jesus. It's egregious, they wanna beat us. It's obvious, they hate the obelisk. Wonder why they wear a tie, because they envy my penis. That's why they on these nuts. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Speak up. Words, power, and sound, they can't keep up. It's all a cover up like makeup. Wake up.
Receive information that they pass on to you just by being in the room. You know what I'm saying? So anytime that you're in a room with an older person, you learn to tap in. And see, that's what you did. As a young man, you learn to tap in, and that's why you find the things that I say so favorable. You know what I'm saying? Because you bought into this a long time ago. So you're not a believer, you're a doer now. You don't believe in spirituality, my man. You live in it. Just like I am. It's different. It's different, Kevin.
I receive it.
Your life is different now.
I receive it.
Good.
And the question that we had was, why do we as a people struggle so much among ourselves when it comes to support and organization?
Well, the answer to that is very simple, right? In my country, the same thing has happened. Every time that we've had a magnificent leader that came forward, they always kill him. So they're afraid. Our people have lived in fear for hundreds of years, my man. It's in their blood. It's in their DNA. I remember when I was a young kid, every time white folks pull some kind of stunt against black people, the answer to the problem for black people was always, man, y'all know how them white folks is. And that was it. That was the cure. That was their cure. No matter if they came in and assaulted or robbed or hurt somebody, there was no retaliation. There was nothing. You know how them white folks is. You know what I'm saying? So our people have lived in fear. What happened on our island in the last election, the independence movement never got more than 5 or 10%. They got a 3%. You know what I'm saying? Because they have been killing independent leaders all along. So people were terrified, but they didn't know. And then everybody kept making fun of the independent people. Oh, they ain't going nowhere. Nobody wants independence. It wasn't that. They were afraid. But there's been a couple young brothers on the island that rose to extreme prominence. The first one is a brother named René Perez. They call him Residente. That's the name he gave himself, the resident. And that's an homage to all the displaced people around the world. It's a bad motherfucker, Kemet, right? And his music is international. He's a bad man, right? So he's the one that led the movement for the removal of the president. I'm surprised they didn't kill him. But he got a lot of support from all over the world. And now, the second one is one of the baddest artists that we've ever had. He's taken over the world. He's everywhere. Bad Bunny. And I'm about to get a little emotional, man, but because this happens to us, right? But in one of his songs, he says that they used to kill our people for displaying our flag. And that's why he carries it everywhere today, motherfuckers. That's what he says. And I love that, bro. That fucking fills me with fucking power. And so the same things happen here, brother. But here, And here's a thing that black and brown people need to understand. Most of the time, when magnificent black leaders have been killed, here and in Africa, and in Central and South America, it's always been one of us who killed one of us at the direction of the white man. And that's one of the tricks that they use at all levels. Okay? They use that at all levels. You know what I'm saying? And what happens is, so you a magnificent young brother, Kemet.
Give
Right?
thanks. Give thanks.
And I want to support you. But I'm terrified that if I do, of what the white man's going to say, and what the white man's going to do, not just to you, but to me for supporting you. And that's the mentality, my man, that our people live with subconsciously, and some of them consciously. Most of them subconsciously. They don't support. And see, one of the most important things that you can learn from me, Kemet, is that people always default to what they know, even if it hurts them. That familiarity, being comfortable, right? Even if it hurts you. And see, that's why we don't have that. You know what I'm saying? So when we get past the fear of what the white man is going to say or do, because we have our own agenda. We don't give a fuck about what he got to say. People like me, I don't give a fuck what he's going to say or do. I'm going to do what I got to do, right? When our people get past that, because it's something that you just walk through. It's not a big deal, right? When you get past that fear, then, Kevin, you're going to see support for everything that we do. And a continued, invigorating resurgence of our traditions, our culture, and our history. And it's going to be led by young brothers and sisters like you and Crystal Washington and Lori Decker and, you know, others, man, that are just in the movement right now. And y'all bought into it and you're doing great. So that's the reason why we don't have that support, brother. And that's a crucial question, because our people need to know why. You know, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be afraid anymore of that. And all you got to do if you're afraid is you come and you stand behind me. And you stand behind Kemet. Because we ain't afraid.
I'll receive it. I'll receive it. Who are some of the elders that inspired you and teachers that taught you in your lifetime?
Well, I've had thousands, you know, and that's not even an exaggeration. I mean, first of all, my mother, I'm extremely grateful to her that she brought me up in that spirituality. And it's funny because my family on my father's side, they were Seventh-day Adventists. They're Christians of that nature. That was a lot of that was happening on all the islands, right? And then on the other side, on my mother's side, we were the Catholics, you know what I'm saying? But my mom was my first and most important influence. She spent a lot of time trying to raise me like a white man. She wanted me to work, you know, with the other, you know, whatever. And I did what I had to do. But then there was my grandfather on my father's side. He taught me kindness. And he taught me that no matter how big you think you are, or how important you think you are, you have to share your bounty. So my grandfather, at the height of his farming days, he owned 144 acres. And so a lot of people will come and eat off his land. And he even had people living on his land for free because they didn't have nothing. So he would always say to people, take what you're going to eat. Don't take to waste. Don't take. You know what I'm saying? And people appreciate that about him. So I grew up with an incredible influence of my mother, who believed, she showed me that anything, we could do anything, absolutely anything. And then just that kindness from my grandfather, man, to really feel other people's plight, you know, understand what other people are going through, and to understand that the world does not revolve around you, man. And just because you're doing good don't mean that other people are doing good. You know, so I have that I grew up with that conscience and that understanding. And then as I got older, I had books that influenced me. I read about Harriet Tubman. I read about Frederick Douglass. I read about Nat Turner. And so I grew up reading. I'm still a strong reader, but I grew up a voracious reader. I love to read. And so I want to say this before I forget, right? You don't really see with your eyes. You see with your mind, right? And so the more that you read, the more that you'll be able to see. So please remember that. And so I've had other influences all along. I've had political influences. You know, here in Hartford, I had a brother named Eugenio Caro. He's 89 and he's my mentor. He fought for our people here, for black and brown people, and he sacrificed his career. Extremely intelligent, and he was blackballed. He couldn't get a job because of the work that he did. And that's the kind of shit that white people in their supporters, because a lot of our black and brown folk collaborate with them. They blackballed him and they did some other stuff, you know, kept it from working and earning an honest living. But, you know, a magnificent brother like that can never be kept down, so he found a way to do what he had to do. And then I've had a lot of women who influenced me, man. I think some of my best relationships are with women, especially older women, because they have so much to offer, you know, so much knowledge. You sit around them and you just watch how they move and, you know, how they get shit done, and you learn, you know. And so my biggest influence was a sister named Dolores Huerta. Dolores is the co-founder of the Farm Workers Council with Cesar Chavez. The farm workers were the Mexican brothers and sisters and others from Central and South America who worked the fields out west in California. And so these two, Dolores and Cesar, they created the unions out there to help these people get some better wages and benefits, and, you know, so they can raise their standard of living and not be treated so harshly, man, and so poorly. So I met this woman, Dolores, and first of all, she was the most powerful woman or person I ever met. She had an aura around her, and it made me just want to hug her, man, and just squeeze her and just get that from her. You know, she was magnificent. And she was so powerful, right? I was in California organizing the home health care workers. That's a big industry out there. So I met her, and what happened was I had went out to get some signatures. They gave us a fucking car, and we had to drive 2 hours to somewhere with a map. We had maps back then, no GPS, and it was scary. I was in California in a rental with a map by myself. Had to drive 2 hours. I didn't know nothing, but I got it done. So the first day I came back, we had to get union cards, right? So the first day that I came back, and this is a story that makes me cry and angry at the same time, right? I came back with 5 signatures. So these crackers was acting funny. They was acting like, yeah, you got 5, huh? But I didn't really catch it at first, right? So the next day, I came back with 7 in half a day. And they called me into the fucking president's office. And I quickly realized that they were implying that I signed them cards myself. These crackers, I'm telling y'all, these crackers are crazy. So I kept my cool. And I said, well, here's the thing. I went to this lady's house and I pulled out her car. See this lady right here? When I went to her door, she came to the door with a baby. And the baby had scratched the face up with the nails. And I immediately said to her, because she didn't really want to, she wasn't feeling signing the car immediately, right? So I said, sister, why don't you cut the nails? You could hurt it a lot. She said, I'm afraid I don't know how to do it. I said, you got a nail clipper? She said, yeah. I said, I'll do it for you. I said, I got 3 sons. I clip their nails all the time. It's good to teach them that, you know. It's good. And so she let me clip the nails of 2 babies. I clipped the hands and the feet, and she loved it. She said, brother, you come back tonight. I'll have 20 people here for you tonight. This is how the ancestors work. You see that? So I said, well, if you think that I signed these cards, then you should come back with me later on in the evening. Because she told me she's going to have 20 people there. So these motherfuckers, they didn't know what to say. They were in shock. Because I kicked them in the stomach with that, right? If I didn't have that, they would have just put me on a plane and sent me back like I was a fraud, right? Because they don't give a fuck. We went back, and 2 of them, a white girl and some other dude from the office came with me because they thought I was lying, right? And when we got there,
You said this lady came to do
yeah,
what?
so she greeted me, she hugged me, and she invited us in. And sure enough, brother, we ended up getting 17 signatures. So now them crackers didn't know what to do with me. So that's when Dolores came in. That's when I met her. She was like, brother, you do good work. I'm very proud of you. And when I found out who she was, brother, what? Incredible. I was overwhelmed with feelings of joy and happiness, you know, to have the approval of an elder like that, you know. So this lady was so powerful, people, that she had a direct line. Clinton was the president, and she could call President Clinton right on his cell phone and talk to him. This is Dolores Huerta, a real cacique. And so she was a great influence in my life. And then here in Hartford, besides Eugenio, there's been many. I've met, it was a brother named Darryl Brown. He changed his name to Mudaris Jihad. He works at Weaver. And he probably was the biggest eye-opener for me. I mean, he really, like, he gave me stuff. He shared stuff with me, information, videos, books, and I just kept reading and giving it back to him and watching and giving it back to him. And in a matter of a year, man, he completely changed my life because he gave me the blueprint to seek knowledge of self. So I'm going to say this to everybody out there. Elders know this already. But in your life, brothers and sisters, there's going to be nothing more important for you than knowledge of self. It's more important than your marriage, your kids, your fucking fortune, because nothing matters, man, at the end of the day until you get that, until you really know who you are. And I always ask people this, like I say, hey, what's your name? They say Bob. I say, who told you that? Oh, my parents. What is a Bob? See, because when you accept that, right, you accept the identity that's created for you. Now you're going to move like a Bob. What does a Bob move like? I don't know. I'm not Bob. You know, but we know what Bobs move like, right? So we have to create our own identity. That's why I changed my name. Part of erasing the colonialist mentality from yourself is creating your own identity. You don't want to accept the identity that the colonialists created for you. You have to create your own. And that's what I did. So I changed my name and I created a tribe. And it's incredibly liberating to know that you're no longer under that. It's very liberating. And then other people that have influenced me have been, you know, we've had some magnificent people. We had a brother here named Cleve Royster. He lives in West Virginia. He's a very, very good friend of mine. Another brother who continued to show the elegance and the magnificence of black people, Chuck Cummings. What an incredible brother, man. This is one of the most selfless brothers that I met. Completely selfless. And I had the honor and the privilege of working under him and with him, because he was the man. He was a supervisor. And so I worked alongside of him. And he was great, man. He was great. And then there's a lot of other people that influenced me. I remember a brother named Israel Carroll and another brother named Andrew Davis. These are two brothers that they're the mother of the children. They were the mother of the children, and then they left them with the kids. And and these brothers, Kemet, did not miss a step. They kept going like it never happened. They sacrificed everything and put all their energy into raising their kids. And now when you look at the children that these brothers raised, you got some caciques, brother. They don't fuck around. They raised them to be men, to be conscious. I think Israel has a daughter, but the boys, they raised them to be conscious men, to be leaders. Show them kindness, show them courage, show them how to use their voice. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, for those of you out there who say that men can't raise children, go check out these guys and come back and say that shit to me. There's been a lot of influences, man. Many, many more. Just so many great people, man. I remember I worked with a sister named Yvonne Francis. What a leader she was. And she was not afraid to elevate people around her, even above her if she had to. You know what I'm saying? Sheldon Neal, the same way. So there's been a lot of people that influenced me here in the city. It's too many to mention. Young people. I met some incredible young people. Kemet Maroon. You know what I'm saying? An incredible brother. And the other young ladies that I mentioned, and many, many others that are out there really trying to make it happen. I'm very proud of all of you, and keep going.
Give thanks. Do you know anything about the Hartford riots?
I came here right in the middle of the riot, because the riots were in '69. I came in '67. Well, the Hartford riots, that was just a time where black people got tired of shit, man, and they started fucking shit up. And then what the government did, the authorities did, is they put that what do you call it? They restricted movement, man. You couldn't be outside.
A curfew?
They had a curfew and they restricted your movement, man. And it was kind of ugly, you know what I'm saying? Because back then, people were not, they were still very, very, very much afraid of the authorities. Even though they were, see, here's the thing, when black people rebel, they rebel against themselves. They burned their neighborhoods down, you know what I'm saying? If they had it like the people in California, right? They burn Watts down, but fucking Hollywood is right up the street. Why don't you go burn that down? Those are, you know what I'm saying? So I never understood that. But once again, where's that come from? It comes from that fear that every time we had leadership, they would kill them, and they're afraid. That's why they think, and this is the subconscious mentality of black and brown people. If I go and kill some black and brown people, white people ain't gonna say shit. But if I go kill me some crackers, they're gonna be mad and they're gonna do something. You know what I'm saying? And we have to get away from that. We have to get away from all of that, because that's all slave-based. You know what I'm saying? It's all slave-based mentality, and all based on fear tactics. They put that deep fear in you. You know what I'm saying? But you don't have to be afraid, And so, yeah.
Were you always aware and conscious?
When I was a kid, I had more consciousness than I did from I started to really lose it in my 20s. I got married and I started doing everything that the white man wanted me to do. And then I regained it, man. When I went to, I don't know how long ago, maybe 15 years ago, I'm 64. So maybe around my 50, I started to get it back. And now I'm pretty good. It's pretty strong. You know what I'm saying? My consciousness is pretty strong right now. I'm very aware of things that are not happening here, and nobody's told me about it, and I haven't seen it on TV. But I'm aware that something's going on because the universe is telling me this.
What is it that Hartford has? Because at one time we were the insurance capital in the world, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
We seem like we were more populated then. Like Aetna, it was more booming. It seems like they had a lot of layoffs. What's happening to the cities? It seems like, I don't want to say it's deteriorating, because I see them trying to put things like Hartford Yard Goats, Hartford Athletics. They're trying to bring in, sports.
The reason why you feel like that is because everything that these crackers do is not for us. The Hartford Yard Goats was some bullshit that politicians did, and they never came to the citizens and said, "Do y'all want a baseball team?" They just put that bitch there and they made money, right? The people who constructed the stadium and other things that whoever was involved in that made money, right? But that didn't come back to Hartford, and that's why people feel disconnected. You know what I'm saying? We don't have access to that. They should open that. Listen, they should open that stadium up for us once a week, so we can have a bazaar. Vendors can, and no charge to the vendors, right? So vendors can go in there, craftsmen come, people who build things with their hands, leather purses, shoes, rings, whatever, plants, cannabis. You know what I'm saying? Whatever people have to sell, allow us to earn. Connected. I said this to you before. I said it to the Yargos before. Let Kamora Harrington, okay, handle that. She could be the person for that, right? And so the thing with Hartford, brother, is that every major thing that has taken place in Hartford has been for crackers. What were the Whalers? Right? Hockey is a white sport, And yeah, we can skate and we can play, right? But traditionally, it's for them. We don't go to hockey games. I ain't never been to no black person's house that said to me, let's watch the Bruins, let's watch the Rangers. They're on tonight. No, I never heard that. And so that's not for us. So they build that in the Civic Center, right? And so when they build structures like that, when they build businesses like that, they letting you know you're not welcome. And that's why you and others feel like that. You feel completely disconnected. But if you listen to them, they're earning and Hartford's doing great. And you're saying, but why don't I feel like that? Because we are not connected to that. And so so what we need is we need young people elected. That's why I don't want a lot of these old timers. If you're an old timer you're an elected official in Connecticut, but particularly in Hartford, resign. Get the fuck out. Okay? You're not helping. You've never helped us. Get the fuck out and let young people in there that have the courage to say, we don't want all this shit. We want more inclusive stuff for us. Okay, we want things that, why can't we have, why the fuck didn't they build the fucking Civic Center in the North End? To bring life, to bring some wealth down here, some growth. You see what I'm saying? Watch where they build. They're not building in our communities, brother. And so we need elected officials that are going to look at these motherfuckers and say, no, we're not going to do it like that. If you don't want to build down here where it benefits our community and not you motherfuckers, it ain't going to happen. And that's it. That's all. Use your words, motherfuckers. You can do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we need, brother. We need things to be built in Hartford, to be brought to Hartford, that we as black and brown people can connect with.
Mm-hmm. This question is for you personally, but it's for all of us. But it's for you. What is your purpose on the face of this planet?
Well, Kevin, sometimes I receive messages in my sleep, in my dreams. And so one of the messages that I got is that my purpose right now, at this particular time in my life, and at this particular time in the history of mankind, right, is to put out information so young people like you can put it into action. And so the job of every elder like me is to continue to put out information that these crackers don't want you to have, and to continue to inspire you, to elevate you, to help you vibrate at your very highest level so you can be your very best. You know, because you're the future. And to teach you, brother, how important it is for you that above everything, above your own very life, is that when you move with universal practices of do no harm, okay? And particularly, Kemet, to the planet. Because remember what I said earlier, we are connected to every living organism in the universe. You're connected to every plant and every animal. You're connected to the fish. And brother, people don't talk about this, but you're connected to the air that you breathe, right? Because think about it. Not only are you breathing it through your nose, but it goes right through you in all directions. So water, you're connected to water. Water is like your family. You're 70% water, okay? So you have to learn to have a deep and fruitful relationship with water. And I really encourage people to get between 15 to 20 minutes outside in the morning without their shirt on. The morning sun is life-giving and very energetic. If you work out in the sun in the afternoon, it's very draining and it's not healthy. It's the same thing that I talked about earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
My new year is in April because April is the beginning. The morning sun is also the beginning. And we talked about winter being equated with finality, with death, right? And so the afternoon sun is also that, because it's going where? It's coming down.
Setting.
It's setting, exactly. So yeah.
I have about 2 more questions.
We're good, brother.
What are some solutions we can use to build among ourselves?
That's a very, very good question, because I talk about this. And one of the things that I talk about is creating a program or a system strictly based on indigenous African concept with no European influence. What does that look like, Kemet? Black people in this country don't know that. Africans may know that, even though, but they don't know what that is, because everything that they do is with their European influence. You know what I'm saying? So I challenge our young black and brown people. I got this brother who does therapy. You know, he talks to people, and I said that to him. I said, incorporate your traditions into your therapy, because you should be working with people who look like you. You know what I'm saying? When I used to go to the PPT meetings for my son in school, the first thing that I used to say at every meeting, because it was true, it's too many white people around this table. This school is 90% children of color, and this table should be 90% people of color. And they didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? And the black and brown people didn't like that, because a lot of them have sold out and have accepted white privilege and racism for themselves and their families. So we have to be careful. We have to be very careful about what we give our energy to, right? Very, very careful.
This will be the last question right here. What is your biggest contribution you have imprinted in your lifetime?
Well, I don't know if I made any, but I'll tell you what I've done. I've taught hundreds, maybe thousands of children and adults to play chess. And I've taught hundreds of people how to work out And the reason that I do that is because I'm always interested in teaching things that you can take for life. So working out, right? Learning to use the gym, learning the dance that happens in there, right? You know, learning to use every piece of equipment appropriately and putting your shit back appropriately, right? I teach that. And then I teach chess, because chess, you can go to Russia, or you can go to a Spanish speaking country, or you can go to Africa and play anybody who plays chess. Because you don't, if you know, they know the rules, you know the rules, you can just play. So that's a way to really bring people together. You know what I'm saying? I teach people, brother, that every step that I take, right? So I call my right leg goodwill, and I call my left leg good faith. So every step that I take in goodwill and in good faith, surrounded by love. And that's something that you have to practice, because that's tested every single day, man. You know what I'm saying? Your goodwill, your good faith, and the love that you have for people. You know, and sometimes they can disappoint you. You know what I mean? So what I ask you to do, you know, everybody that's listening to this, before you really get involved with anybody, either in a romantic relationship or as a friend, try to make sure you find out as much as you can about that person. Because what they're into, you may not like, and you don't know. So be careful. Because I've cut off 90% of the people that I used to know, because I realized that they were doing things that were contradictory to the life that I was trying to live. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have any ill will towards them, or any hate or anything like that. I just don't fuck with them anymore, because like I said, what they do is contrary to what I do. I lead a very, very healthy life. You know, I try to live by the universal principles of do no harm, right? And, you know, everything that we build, everything that we create should align with those principles, because everything that you do should be for the benefit of the planet. Because everything that benefits the planet benefits us. Conversely, everything that hurts the planet also hurts us. So that's why we have to try to understand what that means. Live life, you know, under universal principles of do no harm. And you keep saying that, and you keep saying that, because as you keep saying that, it's like you're opening something up that gives you an understanding of the type of life that you should be living. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with church or religion or government, none of that. Because to be a righteous person, you don't have to be in church. You could be, but you can also be out here, like me. You know what I'm saying? Doing what you got to do. You know, which is living the best life that I can within my means, not hurting anybody, sharing my bounty whenever I can. That's very high on my list. Sharing bounty, because just because you're eating doesn't mean that everybody else has that opportunity to do it like you do. Just because you're doing good doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying? So we have to be conscious of all of that. And also conscious of the words that we use. I like to use the word collaborate instead of helping, because especially when you go somewhere, right? Say you go to the food pantry, right? And you're going down there to help. It sounds like you're coming from up here to go down there. And that don't sound right to me. So when you collaborate, we're doing it together. So if I'm going to the food pantry, I'm collaborating with them people today to do something. You know what I'm saying? Because the words that we use matter, right? We don't use the word boss. Why? Because the fucking slave master, that's what the slaves called them. We don't use words like that. You know, there's a lot of other words that we shouldn't use. The word nigga, for example, to me, that's a white person's word. They create, that's their word. And I want to say this publicly so our brothers and sisters can understand why we shouldn't use that word. The only niggas that I know are white people. So take that to the bank.
And before I let you have closing comments, what is a Taino?
Well, Taino is the name, which is also inaccurate, But Taino is the name that the Europeans gave to the people of the Caribbean. And it was like a civilization. They were more Arawak and others that, populated those islands. So it's a Taino is a reference to the native people from the Caribbean. And I stopped using the word indigenous because somebody said to me that we shouldn't use that word in front of anything that means good, because it's indifferent, indecent. You see what I'm saying? So native or original is the term that we should be using to describe ourselves, because we are native and we are the original. All that simply means is that we was there before them crackers. That's all that means, man.
Do you have any closing comments?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity, man. And I want to say to all my strong black and brown brothers and sisters out there, continue on your journey of self-knowledge, because it's going to help not just to liberate yourself, but it's going to liberate other people around you from that stupor of racism, white privilege, and all the hate that they bring. You know what I'm saying? They got you under that. They got their foot on your neck. So when you continue to chant these mantras that I've shared with you all along this conversation, they can be very, very liberating. And if you don't want to give yourself a native or an African name, please stop giving your children them fucking colonialist European names. We have beautiful, beautiful names with meaning. You know what I'm saying? That mean a lot. They have tradition, they have culture. You know what I'm saying? So start giving our children those magnificent names, okay? And fuck all them Beckys and them Bob names. Let's get it right, people. That's my message to y'all. Let's get it right.
Let's get it right. I appreciate you.
I'm sorry.